I'm here with Amy,
Hello, I'm Amy.
and we just saw the 2025 Oscars documentary shorts at our local theater. So let's just quickly go over them, thoughts right out of the movie theater, so don't expect anything too deep here. But the first one was...
Instruments of a Beating Heart, directed by Emma Ryan Yamazaki. So this tagline for it, everyone's gonna put in their reviews, is fucking whiplash for 5-year-olds. Can I swear? I didn't know if I...
Yeah, you can swear.
Okay, it's whiplash for 5-year-olds. It is exactly that. It's gonna become like a hackney phrase. If anyone talks about the movie, it's going to be whiplash for tots. I thought it was kind of low stakes, especially compared to
I agree.
the hard hitting shit that's about to come. Because effectively, the plot is a music teacher is very mean. He's a very mean music teacher to a bunch of second graders, and makes the second graders cry.
When I was in second grade and stuff like that, we had a mean music teacher, so it's a very universal thing. But
all music teachers are pieces of shit. That's what this documentary says.
I've had great music teachers, but then I had some awful. Like most of them were awful. So
but I think the one thing you can garner from this is that any person who's in the performing arts, especially when they have to deal with kids, there's like a stereotype of like a theater teacher who will or a choir teacher will just berate a bunch of 6th graders for a performance that everyone's going to sleep through. And that's what this documentary is. It's basically a documentary of trying to sort of get in the head of like why somebody would put this much stake on a bunch of second graders to play handbells. But
I don't know. But that's the thing. I don't know if it really explores.
It mostly just kind of
it just shows it.
It shows it. I wish it focused more on it. I wish it didn't because it's cute seeing like the kids excited to play the tambourine. Like that's cute. But like I don't really gain anything from knowing that like a bunch of kids out there can play Beethoven's Ode to Joy. That's it. But it's still entertaining.
It was mildly entertaining. Like it was never that boring, but it's just like
it's funny.
Overlong.
It's kind of funny.
It was kind of
seeing
funny.
him yell at the kid because you're like, the kid's gonna get over it. Hopefully, I don't know. I hope the kid doesn't get traumatized from music teacher.
It's our next film.
All right, so the second film is Incident, directed by Bill Morrison.
Oh, I thought it was Incident USA.
No, it's just Incident.
Oh, interesting. Okay, for some reason I thought it was Incident USA.
This one. There's nothing really funny to make jokes about this one. It's style-wise, it's very interesting. It's only filmed via body cams and security cameras of a police shooting in Chicago in 2018. Have the name of the man? I know his name was Snoop, but it's just it's the main thing I got from it, and I thought it was brilliant from a filmmaking perspective, and also just
Same. This was my favorite, honestly.
It's probably my favorite too. It was great just because you could like feel it just fills you with vitriol about like the fucking police establishment. It makes you want to tear the entire thing down with your hands. I wouldn't say it really gave me like any deep thoughts, except one particular thing is that I was so interested in how they immediately after the shooting, the cop who
I think we're thinking of the same thing. Sorry,
the cop
keep
who took
going.
his life, like they had to babyfy him in every capacity. The most interesting thing about this was
it was like, oh, you didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah, the cop
you did everything.
He didn't turn his body cam off, and that gave us footage of like this cop and his partner saying like, "You're a hero. You saved my life. You saved everyone. You're a fucking star.
Yeah.
You're fucking beautiful." Like it's so interesting how you see somebody who is effectively a murderer, even if it's justified, they are still technically a murderer. Every single person, even if they're not there, immediately starts trying to pat him on the back and saying, "You're a great person. I love you so much."
Yeah.
And it's interesting.
And then they totally like removed him from the scene
They removed
too.
him from the scene immediately, so nobody can.
And not even like the cops who arrived on the scene knew what was going on.
They got rid of
like,
his name
wait,
and
what?
scrubbed it entirely. It's just so interesting seeing how the police organization is able to codify itself and, like I said, babyfy itself to any crimes just on the basis of the fact that, like, no matter what happens, they're the good boy heroes and they get like participation awards for shooting people. Like,
it was really gross in that regard.
It's disgusting, but I'm glad I saw it, and honestly, because of the fact there was no like camera in the victim's face, it felt less exploitative than documentaries usually do. because you're just taking footage that was on the scene. So probably this was the best one out of the bunch.
Yeah, and me personally, I thought it was very emotionally effective. And again, how they showed footage was very unique to like other documentaries where we had like a 4-quadrant kind of display of different footage, and you get overlapping audio and things like that used. And I was really impressed with when it used sound and when it didn't use sound. They didn't add like a score that felt, that was insisting on emotions, because it doesn't need a score when the stuff that we're seeing is like part of our horrifying reality. And so I thought that was very effective, and a lot of spans of the film just feel very quiet. If anything, I would say I want to see even more of the scene, because we get some text after that, like the police arrested some people from the protest from the scene, and I kind of want to see more of that at the end. But yeah, this was my favorite, and I'd give it like a high 7, low 8 if I had to be honest. The first one I'd give like a 5.
I think it's kind of weird to give like ratings to pure police footage. I don't have a score, but I recommend it.
Used in an interesting way, yeah.
Okay, so the third film is also by Death by Cop. There's a lot of Death by Cop movies this year. It's I Am Ready, Warden by Samitri Mundhar. So this one is I saw a lot of people calling this one exploitative, and I can definitely see it. But it's basically a anti-death penalty film, which is really interesting. We'll get to that when we talk about the fish short. But
yeah,
there's not much I can really say about this. I'd say it's the one that I have the least amount to say about, mostly just because it's interesting seeing a victim who's been in jail for so long that they've like completely reshaped themselves from the time of the crime. It's interesting, perpetrator. It's interesting seeing like the victim's son and also the murderer's son. I saw a lot of people saying like that the main reason this documentary should be made is that he killed a man over like $1.50, and I think that's interesting that you can see you see him as a different person, but also he's kind of irredeemable, so you don't never really like get too attached to him. The most effective scene in the entire movie to me is the one where he's calling his son like an hour before his execution, and just like saying goodbye for the last time, because you realize you've never really seen a person who knows the exact minute when they're going to die before, and you just don't know how to like talk to somebody like that.
And I thought it was, this murderer had an interesting perspective on reflecting on his past and everything there, where he was not making excuses for what he did, and he said what he did was wrong, and almost applauding his death and awaiting his death.
It mentions that he may have when he was arrested, he immediately asked for the death penalty, and that this may have been like some kind of like honorable suicide for him, and you kind of get that vibe. And also just another interesting thing too that I saw is that like it makes a very big deal about him finding God, and through murder, and saying that he became a better person because of murder. And that's an interesting question of, can you become a better person by committing a irredeemable act? It is you becoming like a more whole Christian person worth killing a man? The answer is no, but the documentary, I think that's what the murderer had to think about all those years in prison. They said he was in solitary confinement for like 23 hours a day. He didn't seem like a dangerous person. It just, I guess because I have to talk about it, I'm pretty anti-death penalty, but like and this short seems very anti-death penalty, but you also have to ask, like, if they didn't kill him, would his life be better? They'd still lock him in the cell for 23 hours a day, found anyone to talk to. I kind of think at this point he probably wanted to die.
Which we do get a lot of footage of that one lawyer, right?
Yeah,
who was trying to argue for
the defense attorney.
The defense attorney. I'm not good with the law terms. Who was trying to argue for him to, skip the death penalty and just be in prison for life, which I thought maybe we had a little bit too focused on that person. But as Amy mentioned, I loved how we got interviews with the son of this person who's going to be executed and the son of the person who was executed at the hands of this person. So we got different perspectives there, and there's interesting moral perspectives in what it explored. It wasn't shot in like any revolutionary way, but it was shot in a way, in my opinion, that showed what it needed to show. And I thought at first I didn't really get into its use of music, but by the end I thought there was some musical pieces in its score that were emotionally effective.
Segue? Speaking of musical pieces,
hey.
Our fourth film is The Only Girl in the Orchestra by Molly O'Brien. Molly O'Brien being the niece of the subject of the documentary, Orrin O'Brien. And Orrin O'Brien was the first woman hired for the New York Philharmonic in 1966 under Leonard Bernstein. That's the dry read of it, but I thought this was really interesting. I know Sarah didn't really find that much out of it, but
it was not my least favorite. I was still engaged with it because it has a nice levity to it.
There's some stuff that it does in terms of documentaryship that that's just so interesting to me. I'm gonna get to my main point first here, is that the director, Molly O'Brien, seemingly wants this to be a different film than it actually is, and to me that's fascinating. The title of it, The Only Girl in the Orchestra, is sounds like ripped from the newspaper headlines of the 1960s that like describe Orrin as like curvy as her bass. Like you see like the topic of like misogyny in theater is only brought up once, and then it's just talking about her and how much she loves music and how much her life. And I really appreciated that in terms of just like this is a really interesting person. But every time Molly talks, she is intentionally trying to bring back the subject of how saying like, Orrin, you're an inspiration. I wish I was you, Orrin. I wish I had your life. And Orrin every time saying, I don't think my life is that impressive. I don't think I did anything that noteworthy. And I think that in some ways you have as equally an impressive life as me. Throughout the film, Molly keeps trying to like intersperse her own idea of making Orrin this like great trailblazing icon, and Orrin rejects it every time, to the point at the end of the movie Orrin is speaking directly to the audience, is saying that just like, hey, you don't got to focus on me, I'm not that interesting. And you could say that's like imposter syndrome or something, but you rarely ever see the subject of a documentary fight against the documentarian about what it is. Most people, when they agree to have like a camera put in front of them, they don't want that camera to go away. They want to play into what the director they think the director wants. That's kind of just how filmmaking works. But I think this family
and that even applies to what she says at the end, where she's like, it's better to be part of the better to be the second fiddle out of attention than the person who's the lead, who has the rise and fall.
I agree with a lot of what she says. It's kind of a guy's hammering. It's kind of a love letter to the band itself, rather than there being a Bernstein. There's always going to be an Orrin who's like the one who makes the music propel forward. She calls everybody in. Is a really interesting moment where she's teaching a orchestra class, and everyone's playing their bass, and then she says, you're making it too much about yourself. You are the floor in which the orchestra rests on. Any other movie, like any other like musical biopic movie, would have some students stand up and say, no, Orrin, I'm the star. This is a movie that's basically saying it's better sometimes to just be really good at one thing and use your strengths to help propel and make greater art. And it's interesting every time that I don't think the director agrees with her on. I don't think she does. But yeah, Orrin is my favorite Nepo baby. I love
which they go into a bit, how she's the daughter of two actors and actresses.
George O'Brien and Margaret Churchill.
So but yeah, I also love the score, which I assume were classical pieces that she was playing.
It's mostly like Baroque pieces done on double bass, which is awesome. You never get to hear that.
Was it her actual like?
No, sometimes it's a student. I think sometimes it's just, maybe, I don't know. I didn't see if it's her playing.
But I thought it was used very effectively.
It's a really great score, in that like if this was about some violinist, I would not give as much of a fuck about it, because that's just so overdone. So to hear like some great double piece classical musics, that's great to me. And also, I'm gonna get into this more with the last one, but there's a weird dialogue that's happening between the 5 selected things this year. there's 2 orchestra ones and 3 death by cop ones, effectively. But in the 2 orchestra ones, they seem to disagree in a lot of ways. I mean, one is about a student, one is about a teacher, but also the first one, the Instrument of a Beating Heart, is very almost anti-orchestra. It's a story about like wanting to stand out more. While Orrin wants to reject the spotlight entirely and wants to make it more about the orchestra. And there's just a really interesting conversation about like between these 2 films that when put together makes them significantly more interesting next to each other.
But yeah, so this one I think was either my 3rd favorite or my 4th favorite, but I still really enjoyed it. And yeah, I thought it was good.
Final one?
Yep,
final one. The final one is Death by Numbers by Kim A. Snyder. This is, it stars a victim of the Parkland shooting, Samantha Fuentes. And it's just about the trial of the Parkland shooter, effectively, and it's interspersed with Samantha Fuentes like writing poetry about like her life. This one I think is incredibly interesting compared to the 3rd one because this is pro-death penalty. When in the 3rd film, when the killer's executed, you're supposed to go, "Oh no!" And this one, he's given life without parole, and you're supposed to feel bad about that. There's a really interesting.
But the one thing I did feel was that Samantha himself didn't think that it really mattered, death or stuck in prison for the rest of his life.
Yeah.
So I would say it's like lightly, death penalty. I wouldn't say it's like super into the death penalty because I did see that pushback from Samantha, who was like, it doesn't matter, like all these lives have been affected and things like that. But I see what you're saying.
Yeah, I kind of thought out of all of them this was the most tragedy porny. It doesn't like it. I'm not massive on the idea of like shoving like a camera in a victim's face and like telling them to act. There's a scene where the jury goes into deliberation about if the shooter should get life without parole or a death, and they cut to her watching 12 Angry Men. That's bullshit to me. I don't think she chose to do that. I don't think the director was in her house with a camera and saying like, "Oh yeah, you just do what feels natural," and she puts on 12 Angry Men. There's a lot of moments, especially in the editing, like the whole conceit of it is that she's just you see her writing poetry, and it kind of just detaches from the whole documentary aspect of it when there's really staged scenes in the movie.
I will say not that the poetry was bad, but like the poetry segments in narration didn't always work for me. Like I don't know, they felt a little bit
Open mic night?
Yeah, that's a good way to put it, and no disrespect, but I did think there were some other narration scenes that were very effective. Then the editing of like some of it being kind of like a slideshow didn't really work for me. So
it's probably going to be the one that wins, just because it's the kind of like, it's the right level of sappiness that'll make it win. And like the main interesting thing that I took away is that you get to see a victim confront their possible killer. That's rare because most school shooters, they die. They mention this in the movie, but most school shooters, they die in the midst of the shooting. So it's a rare experience, but also I just kind of feel bad for Samantha for going through it. She goes and has like a huge like powerful speech at the end to the killer, and at the end you heard some members of the audience clapping. I didn't feel that because I just mostly felt like this fucking killer, he's not going to be affected by this. You mentioned that like this person is an evil fucking individual who, since he said, "I want to hurt people," he's not going to be affected by you walking up to him saying, "You hurt me," because that is what he wanted. I don't think there's kind of like...
But did you like how they would do the little scribble over his face?
But they stopped doing that halfway through.
But then they stopped because I guess the time they stopped doing that was because he had like a mask on.
Well, no, even when he had the mask on, they'd scribble over his face.
Oh, even when he had the mask on before?
It tried doing the thing where like it wouldn't say his name or show his face, and I respect that. But then they stopped doing it.
That's why I was like, when he had the mask on, they stopped doing it.
No, but even when he had the mask on, they still did. And also, even if you see the top part of the face, it's still showing someone's face.
That's why it felt like, to me, even when it first started with the scribbling, I was like, it feels distracting because you could see their face for a second, you know? So that was like a weird thing that just didn't really work for me.
Half and half in terms of what it wants. I'm not going to say it was like bad, because especially it feels kind of fucked up to say it in this context, but I will say it's the one that
for me,
probably
it's
will not rewatch.
It's the one that worked for me the second least. Like I said, the first one was my least favorite, but I did get some emotional resonance in here, and I thought Samantha wanted to share their story. Like, I didn't feel like it was too exploitative. It was more in its presentation that felt kind of amateur at points. So I don't know. But yeah, so if you had to rank them, would you?
I'd probably put Incident at the top, and then
That was my favorite,
Only
so I
Girl in
agree.
the Orchestra, and then the Warden one, the beating instruments, beating heart one, and then Death by Numbers at the bottom probably. But you know, it feels kind of fucked up giving ratings of documentaries a little bit.
I'm sorry, but yeah, I mean, I would put number one for me would be Incident. I thought that was fantastic, and definitely check it out. I think it is. That one is on line if you want to see it. But I know Death by Numbers isn't online. That would be like the fourth one for me. So it would be Incident. The second one would be the Warden one. The third one would be the music one, Oren's one. And then fourth would be Death by Numbers. And fifth would be...
Instrument as a Beating Heart.
What's the fifth one?
Instrument as a Beating Heart.
That's it. Instrument as a Beating Heart, yeah. So
yeah.
That's our little discussion. If you've seen these...
I'm going to be bitchier about the live action one probably, because I'll
feel less bad.
criticizing them.
See, to me, I'm just, judging them as art, but I'm not trying to discredit any of the tragedy and stories that, are put on here because, I mean, this is some really heavy stuff.
Honestly, they're all, pretty good, honestly.
That's what I was saying. This year, I was entertained by all of them
they
in
all
terms of,
have something
engagement.
Good.
Yeah. Even, my least favorite, which was the,
Instrument of a Beating Heart.
Why did I keep forgetting that? Even that one, I was still, engaged throughout, but it was just kind of okay, what was kind of, didn't really add anything, but... Again, like I said, that'd probably be a high five. So yeah, I'm gonna give you my ratings. All right, so high five. Yeah, that one. Death by Numbers 6. The Oren one is
Only Girl in the Orchestra.
Only Girl in the Orchestra. High 6. 7 for Warden.
I Am Ready, Warden.
And then Incident is high 7, low 8. So yeah, that's it. So let's get to the next shorts. Here for the live action Oscars 2025 shorts, we have a special guest.
So,
Oh, Orrett, do you want to any socials you want to shout out or anything?
yeah, sure. I'm Orrett. I mean, what socials are there now? Nothing.
Letterbox, I don't know.
Letterbox?
There's no socials anymore. They all got destroyed, actually.
All right.
Also,
well,
I'm Amy. I'm here as well.
So, the 5 shorts, Amy, you're good with pulling them up quick.
Okay, well, the first short, as randomly generated by the shorts list we watched, was The Man Who Could Not Remain Silent by...
Neboj sa sliepčevic.
Okay, so this was my favorite out of all of them, honestly. I really liked how it was shot, had an interesting aspect ratio. There were some great longer takes. And I loved what it didn't show towards the end there. I mean, sure, some of the text explains a little bit more context of the event. But at the ending, they don't really show exactly what the fates are of these people.
That was good. They left it open. That was pretty cool.
How it focused on specific characters, I really liked. What do you think, Amy?
I find it interesting, and I would love to do some more research on this on my own, but I was telling Sarah this, that the live action shorts, especially very recently, I'm talking 2020, have all kind of become call to action shorts. Maybe not so much this one, but out of all of them, there's only one short that didn't end with a text prompt explaining how this ties in with history or what should change in the world. There's a lot of live action shorts nowadays, they have to attach themselves to a social or historical message in order to get picked up, especially by the government that wants to see some sort of social change. I think there's it's something weird about that. It's very few pure fiction films in live action shorts. Maybe anymore, I don't know. I would have to research that historically. But almost all live action shorts ever nominated by the Oscar are all historical fiction. And I think this is a very good example of historical fiction, that it literally seats you at the event without any context, without any justification why you're there, as you are an outsider to this historical event, which is a event in 1993 that took place in Bosnia, you are in just as much of a chaotic headspace as the characters in the film are, or the people in 1993.
It was interesting because like the actual content of the film was similar to another one of the shorts because it dealt with immigration. So
Did you all like this one?
No, I like
that was probably the weakest one.
Really?
I think that was weaker than the bot one. I forget the name of that.
Really? Okay, well, that was my favorite. I'd give it a 7 out of 10. What would you
I
give
would
it?
also give it a 7. I liked it. I don't know.
Yeah, I thought it was great. And I thought how it
I
didn't
think it
use
was a
music at
7
certain
too.
points.
Probably
Okay.
Maybe a 6. Maybe, I
So
don't
if it's
know.
the weakest,
Undecided.
strong ratings. Okay.
Yeah,
I
these are all
thought
pretty good.
these 5 films were better than the 5 films from the previous years I've seen. There's not like one standout like piece of shit film. They're like that last one, Always or Night Ride from like 2022. Those
These
No,
were
the
so-
after.
the after
That was
that,
the
like
last one.
some just real.
I'll be honest. I mean, this one, I don't know. There are some I really like here, which we'll get to in a bit.
All right. Well, okay. So the next film was Anuja, directed by Adam J. Graves.
Best film, best of them. Definitely the best.
I
Definitely
would
the
say
best one.
probably like I highly enjoyed it, and there's a lot that I definitely highly enjoyed. It's mostly just, without getting real into spoilers, the ending of it is like
Well, I agree that the
baffling
ending
to me.
was really just a
I like
strange
I
place
like
to
when
end.
they leave it open. I like when
Yeah.
they leave the ending open. That was also like they left it on a choice that she had to make. That was there were 2 choices that were really powerful. She was basically choosing between her family and her future. So I think that was like just really powerful to leave it on that.
I thought it was powerful too. But then the interesting thing is that this is not going too much in spoilers. It's about a girl who either chooses to work in a sweatshop or
That's
go to a
right,
boarding
yeah.
school. And
That concept,
it cuts
yeah.
right. It cuts right to black before we see her choice. But then it says that the actress who plays this young girl was like a girl who actually made this choice and decided to go to school, and that's how she was picked up for this film. And what's interesting to me about that is that it gives it this almost weird meta narrative where the answer to what she picks is answered by real life. And I don't even know if that's the intentional thing that the director was trying to achieve, but it gives the film just a weird kind of like meta narrative, as I was saying, that exists within the post credits as opposed to the actual content of the film.
I don't know. For this one, I mean, I guess I was less engaged because of some of the technicals of the movie. Like, I didn't really like a lot of the supporting performances, but I really like the lead child actress and the guy, because I thought he had such a presence on screen, especially with like the spitting and stuff like that, and like he was a very like. I didn't know exactly what was going on in his mind, and he made me feel uncomfortable.
I thought you were
like,
saying
that
some
was
of the
interesting.
acting was bad in that film.
No, I was saying those 2 were my favorite performances, but I didn't like about any of the other performances.
Oh,
Like I thought the
really?
supporting roles and stuff were bad, like especially little minor roles of like when they're like selling
I
the
liked
purses and
security
stuff like that.
guard. I was a fan of
The security guard was cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was
a good
I
moment,
like that
too.
little moment.
The cool
Yeah.
thing was like all the actors, or at least the 2 main ones, were actually from a I don't know, a boarding school there, or no, an orphanage, right?
No, it was I think they were just kind of like found actors, like was Sean
Okay.
what's the guy's name? The fucking Nora man.
Oh, Sean Baker.
Sean Baker, yeah,
Sean Baker.
kind of Sean Baker style,
found
just
them.
like found some actors.
I
and-
think it was saying they were from an orphanage though.
Yeah.
From what I was, so that was like really cool. So
Which they
took-
show in the credits,
Yeah.
them playing it
They
there.
took kids from the actual streets. I think that was a really good touch too, and it came out in authentic in their acting. So I actually did like their acting.
And yeah, I don't know. I felt like it was a bit too long for me. Like
Yeah,
in terms
I
of
think-
the pacing
okay.
and stuff. Like I wasn't really into
Really?
it that much.
You
There were
thought
little
that was
moments, like I
stretched
said.
out?
Well, I didn't say the other ones weren't. I was
Oh,
saying that
well,
one.
we gotta go back
the
to the
train one I
train one
liked.
then.
I thought the train was perfectly paced. What was that? Like
was like
10
10
minutes?
minutes.
Yeah, that was like the best pacing. I mean, it is my favorite
all
one.
right, So in the train one, the main guy looks like a discont Adam Driver.
You said that. I
Adam
was like,
Driver from
okay.
Costco. This is his acting. His acting's like this. His acting like this.
I thought it was great. That was one
Like,
where I was like, all the
papers,
performances
papers,
are great.
please. He's like-
I thought all the performances that was great. I thought it was shot very interesting. Another one with Anuja was, I thought it was shot kind of poorly. I don't know. In one scene, it looked like they were shooting like day for night, and then in another scene, like they had just kind of this frantic style that had bad editing.
Where the hating comes from.
And
I
then
don't
like
even know why.
I don't know, to high saturation, like a just too good review. But yeah, in general, it was just like That one, I don't know. On a technical level,
Dang,
didn't
that
really
sucks.
get
Oh,
me
man.
into it. On a story level, didn't really do too much. I don't know. I think it might be a 4 or a 5, y'all. I think it's closer
Oh,
to
I
a
thought you were
4.
gonna say 4 out of 10.
4 out of
Okay.
10, yeah, 4 out of 10.
4 out of 10.
A 4 out of 10.
You
I
thought
don't
that
know.
was
I didn't
a
like that
below
one. Yeah, I
average?
didn't like that one. I
Are
didn't
you
like that one.
serious?
Sorry.
I thought it was like a 6. I liked it.
Okay, fair. Well, I'm glad y'all liked it. I'm sorry. It didn't do much for me. It didn't do much for me. Don't worry. There's going to be worse. All right, keep going.
Oh my.
What's next,
God.
Amy?
I don't know. I liked it. Anyway, the next one is a Dutch film called I'm Not a Robot, directed by Victoria Warmerdam. I don't really know how to review this one without spoilers, so I'm just gonna say it's a baby companion. It's Companion Junior.
If you haven't seen Companion, it's just spoiled.
It's the same fucking movie. I feel
Like,
bad.
I'm glad I saw Companion because I would be like, wow, you just spoiled so much for me.
I heard a lot about Companion. Is that a good film?
It was pretty good.
Okay.
It's fine.
It's fine. But this is not a review of Companion. This is a review of I'm Not a Robot. Which I think its biggest crime is that it's based off one joke. Like it's very like a kind of like a web comic kind of joke. Like the entire premise of a woman fails a capture test and thinks she's a
I'm like, this is
robot.
really about
That's
capture,
like
is
a
it? Oh my
fucking-
gosh.
That's like a
On a
2012
literal story level.
web comic. That's not like a premise for a.
Yeah.
That's not a premise
Oscar-worthy
for
short.
Oscar-worthy short.
Gotcha.
And I've seen some. A few years ago, there was like a live-action one that was a sci-fi that was selected, and I thought it was really good. I forget the name of it. I think it's Please Hold. I'm pretty sure. And
Oh, I don't remember that one.
That was a really interesting one about like the prison system if it was run by artificial intelligence. This short, I saw some people comparing it to Black Mirror.
remember that,
To me, it feels all the worst aspects of Black Mirror, and that it just like it's just like pointless, like fear mongering about technology without any like exact reason why. It feels especially frivolous. At least Black Mirror is like trying to.
Well, I
connect
thought it was
something.
more of trying to say something like, you know, like a feminist piece of independence, and that some of the men we surround ourselves with don't actually care about us as a piece of, you know, more than a piece of some like more than a physical object, which I've seen done a million times better in other films and stuff like that. So I don't know.
But that's the thing. It kind of is going back and forth on its own messaging a lot. There's this weird bit where they're making a joke about like hiring a man at this like audio engineering firm as like a DEI hire, and
Yeah, I wrote that. I was like, the
That's a
diversity
weird-
part was
that's a
that was a
weird
really
joke.
weird thing to like
And then,
bring up in there. Like that
then,
was like
like,
kind of inappropriate.
the
Yeah.
second her boyfriend, she's like, "Oh, am I nothing but like a sex doll?" And then they say, "No," and then they say you're supposed to feel sympathetic for this boyfriend for like various reasons, and if it comes down to like a woman's choice to like kill herself, it's
That's what I'm
really
saying.
strange.
Yeah, this one I also really didn't like. I thought also it was just like straight up just like unfunny. Like
Yeah.
I didn't really laugh at all. Like
The thing I laughed the most at is that it played like a children's choir cover of Creep in the beginning and the ending of it. And just playing Creep is an inherently funny thing to do. That is a funny song to me.
well, I was like that version of Creep, right? That was used in the Social Network trailer from 2009 before the movie came out, or maybe it was early 2010. And that version of Creep I always loved because of that, and I thought it was excellently used in that trailer, and it was used unironically in that trailer. So I'm like hearing it here, like I heard it here, and I'm like, oh my gosh, you're like, this trailer used it a billion times better than this movie did, and they have that abrupt, you know, cut in a comedic way. But I was like, okay, that was just kind of a waste of using this song. And yeah, it also feels like so many movies to this day have used Creep already, like excellently. So it's kind of like another usage of like, okay, why are we using this overused song?
You've never heard Creep?
I literally
From Radiohead.
From Creep by Radiohead?
I don't even listen to Radiohead like that. I only know like
I
one
was
of their
gonna,
songs.
I was gonna say, have you seen Heretic? Right? Didn't they play
You've
it?
seen Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3.
Did they play that in there?
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah,
I didn't
it's the
remember that.
opening. Rocket Raccoon is listening
Oh
to
yeah,
fucking
you're
Creep.
right. Holy shit! Yeah, it's overused in so many songs.
Wait,
yeah.
how does it go?
I mean, so many movies.
I'm
A creep. I'm a weirdo. What the hell am I doing
Doesn't
here?
ring a
How
bell.
have you never heard that?
It really doesn't ring a bell. It's
We'll
crazy.
submit it in the music league for you to hear.
Okay.
Anyway, this is it's just confused in its own messaging and confusing in why it exists.
To me, it was a waste of time.
Like,
I liked, there was like a wonder in the middle that was kind of cool, and the performances were fine. But yeah, that was
5.
4 for me. What do you think, Orrett? Because I think you liked it more. But
I think it's like a 5 out of 10. I think it's pretty average for Oscar short. It was really well shot though. And I think the message was kind of cool. I like the ending, like they kind of went out there. They went like bold with it, but it didn't really match the rest of the film. So it was just like abrupt.
There were
kind
some
of just like disconnected, disjointed.
bit of a tonal clash.
Yeah, indeed, yeah. But I did like the comedy aspects. A lot of people were laughing at the theater, so there was something.
That is
there
true.
was something
We're
there.
kind of Sarah and I are kind of assholes. There were people who were laughing. So
Yeah.
like
I was stone faced, like I was like.
I didn't see, it
But
wasn't really that funny.
I'm glad that. Well, no, I'm glad people liked it. You know,
It
to
was
each their own
humorous,
humor. Yeah, you know.
next film.
Yeah, of course.
Okay,
of course.
next one is A Space Leon, directed by Sam and David Coulter Crutz. I don't know why it's A Space Leon. I think it's literally just to avoid copyright with the famous alien, because there's no reason for it to have a space alien. But this is, just to summarize, it's about how ICE agents will interrupt green card proceedings to arrest undocumented immigrants, despite the fact that they're at their green card trial. That's
A very fucked up real
It's a
horror.
very fucked up, horrifying thing, but it's presented in like this kind of relationship drama-esque way. It's
I mean, it was literally. I'll jump in. This was one of my least favorites too. Like a very important issue, of course, and like a real horror, like I said. But I just felt I knew exactly where this was going to go when we get the initial premise of okay, he's going to have this interview at the immigration office.
But
right?
if
Yeah.
it was a message that was supposed to be strong, then I don't think they cared. It wasn't important that you knew where it was
yeah,
going.
the
It's more
film-
important.
Well,
that it
I mean,
tugs on the heartstrings.
I know where it's going, but then the journey there, I didn't think it was performed great.
The film itself kind of feels like it's like a PSA for its own subject, though. The film itself doesn't really matter as much as you know
Yeah.
about what is happening, kind of.
The message is so important, but the execution of it being a film, like I didn't get anything out of the relationship itself. It felt like it was trying to pull at heartstrings a lot in an authentic way. I thought the performances were bad. I thought it was shot poorly.
Last year, there was a short about like what happens when abortion gets banned called Red, White, and Blue. And even though that was another social issue,
Oh, that was one of the few I missed.
Interesting.
I thought it was incredibly effective emotionally, despite the fact it is still a social issue film. This one, it's just the issue, no strings about it.
That's a
It's
great
like,
way to put it.
You learn, and you're like, fuck, I hate ICE, fuck. And
Yeah,
you're like,
exactly.
that you stop thinking about this film. The only thing I thought was interesting is that there's kind of like the POV character is like this white woman who's marrying this guy from El Salvador, and like even on the poster, she's the face of the movie.
I was gonna say, because like in many ways I wrote it down and I'm like, what is like half the lesson we should have listened to her? Like it feels derogatory in that regard.
Like her husband gets arrested
'Cause
and
she
he's able
keeps
to get her
warning him
daughter
and
back,
stuff, yeah.
it's presented as like a semi-happy ending, despite the fact he's about to get deported.
It felt very daft in that regard.
Yeah.
I don't know. So.
I think I was thinking about that. I was like, should they have just let them go and get arrested, both of them, and just like they just get deported and that's it, and there's just a sad ending? And I was like, showing them actually get rescue that child, tugged on my heartstrings even more, and made me realize that I did care for that family when I saw them actually get rescued. So I found that to actually be good. Like I didn't mind that it was a semi-happy ending, and we all understand that he's gonna get deported still. So I think the message is still there.
The best thing I could say about it is that I thought it was really interesting to look at the fucking dangers of bureaucracy and like different organizations who allow ICE into their buildings, say we're not ICE, and they wash their hands clean of that. I thought it was an interesting look at how the American bureaucracy system just works to just fuck everyone over. So that was, I think, the most.
And then we had the most on the nose. They put Trump on the TV like in the middle of it. I'm like,
That was a little bit.
I mean, but like
it's okay that it makes sense that they went there instead of kind of like going around it. So I think that's fine.
I don't know. For me, this was now talking about it, I think this was my least favorite. I'd probably give this one a 3, honestly.
Oh, I thought you were
3
gonna
out
say
of
lower
10.
than that. It's crazy.
No.
Like a 6. I'm a nice
A high
person.
3.
Like a 6.
It's like that one film. What's that one film? What's that one film? That's kind of like bureaucracy too.
Brazil?
I was going to say Brazil.
I Daniel.
Daniel Blake.
Oh,
Yo,
Daniel
Kino. Yeah,
think
did you
about
see
that.
I Daniel
I
Blake?
have not seen it.
Amy, you guys see I Daniel Blake?
That
Hell
one was,
yeah,
like, pretty.
amazing.
I
Oh
can see,
my god.
like, I wouldn't be surprised if they're like, oh yeah, we were inspired by I Daniel Blake for this. or
Well,
something
unlike
that.
I Daniel Blake, this didn't have, not to be mean, interesting characters, interesting performances. It wasn't shot
They
interestingly.
only had X amount
It
of
wasn't
time.
done in
I don't
any
know.
type of creative or
Also, the
subversive
lead looked like
way.
Naomi Watts.
She looked. Was it Naomi? There was
It was
somebody
not
else.
Naomi
No.
Watts.
She looked like Vanessa Kirby to me. Nobody knows Vanessa Kirby.
know.
She literally
That's
looked like
something
Vanessa
like what
Kirby
she
from
said.
Pieces of a Woman. That's all I gotta say.
You want the last film?
Yeah, sure.
All right. And the last film, and my favorite, was The Last Ranger, directed by Cindy Lee. I thought this one was fucking great. Cindy Lee, according to Letterboxd, hasn't done anything else. So I thought this one was astounding. I thought it's the most interesting premise by far. It is set on a nature reserve in South Africa in the year 2020. So there's no tourists coming to visit the nature preserve.
That was interesting.
And it is about the few rangers still kept on staff because everyone went home because of COVID, and she's trying to stop rhino poachers. It's such a convoluted setup, but I fucking love it. I think just how complex it was made it such like a more interesting world to me. And there's just so many elements I love. There's just like great like family melodrama. I loved the main actress. She was fucking sensational. I adored everything.
She had quite a personality.
She had,
Like very, I don't know. She has like great screen presence.
Yeah, it's just like she has like
The younger one or the older?
the older one,
Okay.
the ranger. She
Oh,
has,
I
like-
was talking about like the child.
Oh, the child too.
Because I thought the child was
The
actually
child
like.
and
Usually,
the
I'm hard
ranger.
on the child actors, but I thought she did a great job with like the crying scene and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
I thought that was the worst part of her acting. That's
Interesting. Yeah.
I there's just a lot I love. There's like just like it cuts from like amazing, breathtaking nature scenes to just like the most brutal gore and like brutality that you can like picture on film. Like, I'm not that squeamish of a person, but when you see the gore in this movie, it's fucking disgusting. Like, the
Really,
shit-
I didn't get that much.
Really?
Like, I felt like they didn't show the. They showed one gore part, like specifically you could see a part that was injured, but the other one they didn't really cut away to it. They just showed a part being pulled out of it, so I didn't really get too like.
I don't know.
I wouldn't say the most gory. There were definitely like some. They really went there for the subject matter. So I think they were still respectful though of like the poaching situation, while showing like blood and the gore, the actual like rhino being. I don't want to spoil it, but
I mean, I thought like the setup was, like you said, it was a pretty complex setup and setting, but I didn't really feel too much until we had the whole third act, like where the direction that goes. And even that, I thought the action was kind of shot like where I wasn't entirely sure what was going on, what happened here, because I don't know, the action wasn't shot too well and stuff like that. So this one didn't really connect to me as much as it did with y'all, honestly.
I love family melodrama. I love interesting jobs. One of my favorite things in movies. I love when a character has a weird job. I thought just like it was incredibly tense, but also just like incredibly heartfelt. I fucking adored this one. This is like an 8 out of 10. For me.
Interesting, yeah. I was kind of bored for a lot of it, unfortunately. But like I said, the third act had some interesting turns. But even then, I'm not sure I loved like exactly where it ended and everything there. So
Wow.
this one was like a 5 for me, honestly.
5, okay.
How about you, Orrett?
I think it could be a 7 or an 8. Yeah.
Okay, well, y'all agreed on that one basically, but yeah, that one wasn't the worst though for me. So what would you rank these? I mean, Amy said this was her
Well,
favorite, but
I don't know,
It's
just-
got to
I guess-
be Anuja first. None of these were mind blowing. None of these were like, whoa, this is like crazy. Nothing we've ever seen before. But I think all of them were decent. At least decent. So Anuja first, and then I don't know. I gotta think about it.
hey, that's fair. Yeah.
I think for me it's kind of easy. Last Ranger, Man Who Cannot Remain Silent, Anuja, Alien, and then I'm Not a Robot.
Yeah, for me, The Man Who Can't Remain Silent was, I'll be honest, I think that was the only one I really was like, okay, like this was actually like something really good. And other than that, the other ones didn't really work for me. I was, even with The Man Who Remains Silent, like I think I liked Incident from the documentary one better, honestly. That was probably my favorite out of like all the stuff I saw today.
Oh, interesting.
So yeah, but not as bad as some other years though, but
I think
yeah.
this is the best year I've seen in terms of just consistent quality. Nothing mind-blowing like the previous years, but also nothing fucking dreadful like the previous years. I would say around the board like a mean 7 out of 10 for all of them. So
I will be honest, I think this is the first year where I fully completed the live action at least, because last year the live action was the only one I didn't complete because I didn't see Red, White, and Blue in another one. So yeah, that's an interesting perspective though, Amy. So yeah, Orrett, any plugs for your socials?
No plugs, but I enjoyed watching the shorts with y'all. So
That was
I wouldn't have watched
awesome.
it otherwise. So it was really fun.
Thank
It was
you so
nice
much for
getting some-
joining.
Yeah, it was nice getting like experience because like I want to be a director. So
Hell
like, a
yeah.
major director. So that was awesome.
Awesome.
I saw the animated shorts now, the 5 animated shorts, and we're going to talk about them like we did with all the other ones. It's not that surprising.
Oscars 2025.
25. All right, the first one is Magic Candies by Daisuke Nishio. Fucking cute. The animated ones, I never really have a problem with, unless
Except one.
Except they're a specific one, or if they're made by John Lennon's fucking son. I never really get
That was the worst one.
I never really get that mad at animated because I think it's kind of hard to make a shit animated film because like
Shit.
I think it's kind of hard to make a shit animated film because like you put so much work and time into it, you're gonna focus on like the details. You're gonna be hyper focused on it.
I mean, you know, they're for me. I guess I'm a jerk. There's many years where I'm like, whatever. And this year was kind of whatever, but there were some good ones. Magic Candies, though, I do agree. I actually liked it.
It's fucking cute. There's a lot of
It was my second favorite.
There's a lot of great moments. Like you any other one you would like a dad is bossy to his kid, and a kid has a magic power. A shitty film would make it so that the dad becomes like the size of an ant or something, and the kid can go "fuck you, dad" or something like that. But this was just like nice, just like you hear the dad's inner monologue. It's just saying, I love you, kid," and it's fucking adorable. There's just so many just nice, beautiful moments in this, like the hearing the leaves in the wind say goodbye, hearing your dog say they love you, hear your grandma saying she's having a great time in the afterlife. It's so childlike, but just like not childlike in an annoying sense, childlike in just like a very like dreamlike sense that just does like pull you back to just a kind of a less cerebral, more just romanticized view of the world. I thought, funny enough, there's 2 films from the perspective of a child and what is childlike, and this one I felt was extremely effective at being childlike.
Well, I like this one. I was kind of like, look, okay, I'm sober now, but I was getting like, oh, is this like weed edibles? I know that's an epic. I know that's an epic analysis, dude. Weed, yeah. I'm not Seth Rogen, but the thing with that is it is a Japanese short, which like that stuff is not even legal there, and it's not like, oh, there's like a black market to it. No, like people don't do that there, so I don't think that's what it's going for.
Definitely not what it's going for.
I know exactly.
I didn't think that once. I just thought it was Magic Candies.
Yeah, but like for me, there is a lot of like relatability to the times of me getting like high off of edibles when I wasn't sober. But I found it fun on how it played with animation, because first off, the models in here, like the character models, were like, as I call them, ugly realistic. Like kind of like, you know, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the latest animated movie, where they had like the human models and stuff like that were like ugly realistic, and but also stylized in a cartoonish way, which I really love the design of the different characters in here because it was a very distinct style, and I love how it used the animation. Like, it would take everyday objects and twist them into, you know, different kind of realities and things like that. So I was really impressed with its art style and how it used animation. And at some points I was like, what's the budget to this? Because there was like lots of different character models and different locations used. So I was very impressed at the scale of this short.
I mean, it was made by a major studio.
Yeah, Toei, right?
Yeah.
But I was just kind of impressed by the art direction of this. The actual story content, like Amy said, I liked the relatability to some of the like finer familial things in life. But I don't think I really got too much from its runtime in terms of like how it used its runtime to tell a story. But you know, it wasn't a big deal. It was more of a slice of life using this weird plot device of these magical candies. I really liked the sound design of the candies crunching and stuff like that. So yeah, this would be like a high 6, low 7 for me. I really liked it.
High 8 for me. I love this one. Probably my second favorite.
It's easily my second favorite out of all the
next
animated
is
stuff.
In the Shadow of the Cypress by Hossein Molayami and Shirin Sohani. Where was this from? Iran?
Iran,
yeah. I have very kind of mixed feelings about this because, one, very pretty. Obviously, gotta say, very pretty.
Well, yeah, it was interesting because it was like a very simple, almost cubicle style, but like it used open space in a very interesting way, and it used color in a very interesting way.
I have no problems with visuals. Main problems I have, I guess, with the storytelling that there's no dialogue. I'm fine with dialogue, but it applies like these complex, heavy themes such as like PTSD and cycles of abuse and just like a general longing for life and a bunch of really complex themes through like these metaphors that don't really make sense, so to speak. Like sometimes they'll make sense, like a character will break apart and turn to ropes to try to hold somebody back. That I get. But other times like a character will just turn blue, I think, to represent a flashback, or a character will just like start melting into the floor. It uses a lot of this very complex metaphor work as a character wise, and it just kind of comes off as confused a lot of the time. You spent most of the time watching this movie trying to track exactly like what each interaction is actually saying. Like
I totally kind of agree with what you're saying. Like I totally agree with what you're saying. I was also, and tell me if I'm wrong with this interpretation or anything, was it that the person also had like kind of like a dementia or something going on?
I don't know. So this one is extremely metaphorical, and from what I can gather, and this could be completely wrong as well, because there's really no story. A father and a daughter were on a boat that was bombed by the Americans, and he's kept the bombed out remains but built a house on a beach. But the ship is a metaphor for his trauma that he keeps going to and trying to rebuild. That's kind of me guessing, though. There's a lot of just guesswork when it comes to this. And also, the main story involves like a whale that just washes up on a beach.
A beached whale.
Beached whale. And it's trying to do a story about trauma and a story about abuse while also trying to tie this whale into it. And it kind of just ends up being like 3 stories that don't really mix together well.
I took it like when he would turn blue, like he was maybe like sundowning for like dementia and stuff like that. But maybe that's like a total.
Because that's the thing. I thought that was PTSD kicking in.
But that's the thing. They also have that PTSD angle, and I was like, when you see when the daughter was on the ship and everything, that's when she was really young. She looks like older now. So again, it's a little bit harder to tell because it is very heavy on metaphors and stuff like that. But I thought the runtime was probably the biggest problem for me, because it just felt over long for something that was so abstract in a way, like you said, that kept me kind of confused straight up of what was going on. And there's other films and stuff that are full length films that could do this a little bit better and things, but
maybe it makes you sound like no media literacy or whatever, but I kind of wish it had some amount of narration. I wish I could like try to understand what the director is saying without having to rely on like cartoon visuals in order to understand it.
So yeah, but I still liked it. I
Pretty
still
good.
liked
Like
it.
7 out of 10.
For me, though, it was a 6, but
Yeah.
like it was my third favorite, honestly.
I still liked it. This next one I fucking hated. It's called Yuck by Loic Espuche. It's French. I fucking
Say the French title.
the French title was
Amy said this like when it showed up, and I'm like, I was like dying from that the whole time. Like,
oh my god, I don't like.
well, why do you not like it?
I don't fucking like it, man. It's such fucking like light French pervert shit. The best way, it's like, oh, look at the little kids. They want to kiss so bad. Oh, the little kids kiss each other. It's like,
For me, I don't totally agree with Amy on this one. It was my least favorite. It was still a
hated it.
4. But I mean, it was just like kind of exploring like child innocence of
got
like
this disgusting
crushes and
fucking
stuff.
Fish person animation style.
Well, the animation style reminded me of like Win or Lose, which is the latest Pixar thing where they fucking removed the trans storyline.
So everyone,
But it's
so
2D. It's like,
fucking
okay.
gross.
But yeah, it was just like young love, but focused on kissing. But like there was like, it wasn't like, oh, they're all like the kids were mostly grossed out by the kissing, but there was like, it was...
I'm fine with stories about like incoming adolescents. A few years ago, My Year of Dicks.
That was, oh my god, that's
so
a top
fucking
tier
good.
animated. That's like one of my top
classic.
like 3,
It's just-
if not my favorite
I love
animated
that
short
one because
Oscar.
it's like a personal story about like uncovering your own sexuality. This one is some fucking weird like, well, you gotta kiss sometime. You got in your sleep. You go every night. Everybody kissing each other in their sleep. They're fucking all over each other.
I personally, this was not like, I didn't hate it to that extent, and I didn't feel like it was like that, like,
So fucking bad.
I just felt like, okay, like a stupid young love story or something, and
What
but
if-
it was still like to me, it was artistic in, it wasn't like the art style wasn't interesting, the animation wasn't interesting. There was like some stupid parts that they took kind of seriously with those lips that flash on and everything, because like the lips, whenever somebody wants to kiss, they turn like a pink. It's really weird in that regard. And there's a short after this that's very weird that I love, but this was weird in a stupid way.
I don't really want to. I don't have anything else to say about it.
Well, what'd you give it? What'd you give it?
Like a 1. I fucking hated
A
it.
1 out of 5 or 1 out
1
of
out
10?
of 10. I fucking
Damn,
hated this
that
shit.
half star. I would give it a 4, but yeah, a 4 out of 10. Okay, but yeah, that was my least favorite as well.
Next one's great. It's called Wander to Wonder by Nina Gantz.
This was my favorite animated short, and it was probably my second favorite short of all the shorts today.
Yeah.
My favorite still, Incident is my favorite short out of all the shorts. Yeah, I love Incident.
It feels bad because this one's going to be simplified as analog horror has reached the Oscars. It's like, but it's kind of it's kind of true.
It was, yeah.
What if a bunch of puppets on a children's TV show?
Children's TV show, which it was like kind of like
we're
a children's like probably like a local TV show or something, because he's filming it on like camcorder and stuff like that. Like it's a small production.
I was surprised by it. When I first saw like the creepy monsters on the children's show. I'm like, okay, this is fucking FNAF or whatever. This is like,
Well, they weren't like even that creep. They were like kind of like a
like,
uncanny like Teletubby or something like
they
that.
got,
Like
big creepy mouth.
where they don't hold up nowadays, but like they could probably pass as like some 80s like monster character. in the
I
show.
thought it was gonna be like something more like traditionally fucked up, like, oh, it's a metaphor for abuse. Oh, it's a metaphor. What it actually is what if there's little people living inside of puppets and they had to survive? And
like the house is decaying.
I don't know how
and
the
shit.
fuck you come up with something like this. It's a really interesting concept of just like when a creative spark dies, what happens to the people under them? How do they move on in their life? That's essentially it. What if Mr. Rogers died and King Friday had to go find a fucking job? That's the plot of this. I don't know how you come up. Where do they get their ideas? Like,
Well, it was great, but what's funny is it reminded me of another 2024 movie, which was, I know I've seen you log some of his movies before, but Joel Haver's Hello, My Beautiful, Hello, My Beautiful People or something like that. And it was a stop motion film where we did have like a human character who like owned all these characters, and the characters would come to life, and there was like a darkly comedic tone to it, but also that existential tone to it. And this did that to like, I mean, I love Hello, My Beautiful, that's it, Hello, My Beautiful Creatures. This did Hello, My Beautiful Creatures to like a much more effective
My
extent.
beautiful neighbor.
It was the Mr. Rogers was the hello, my neighbor, or whatever. Yeah, but this was honestly like I loved this, and I thought it was like, what was it, like stop motion, right?
It's honestly,
fantastic stop motion.
This is kind of the thing where I don't really want to talk about it because it's kind of best to just go in blind. Like just like there's so much just like gross fucked up shit. I loved it. I love gross fucked up shit. So honestly,
it was awesome.
I have nothing bad to say about it. It's like 8 out of 10. I loved it.
It was unironically one of my favorite animated movies from last year.
Yeah, it's really fucking good.
It was great.
It's really good.
Honestly, like it's kind of in the category, and talking about it now, I almost like it more than Incident. So it's like a high 7, low 8. I don't know. That was great shit.
The final one is Beautiful Men by Nicholas Kimpins.
You like this more than me.
I like this more than I like stories about like dumb people, like dumb normal people who perceive themselves bigger than they are. I don't really have any like specific offhand examples of this, but just like almost like I know this is incorrect, but like the closest comparison I can make up in my mind is like It's Always Sunny. Just people who are normal, not really Arnold Stone, because they're not boring. These people are boring. These are like boring dudes. Boring dudes who can only imagine themselves as the center of the universe, and anything that inconveniences them is a direct attack on the center of the universe.
You actually put that really well.
Yeah, boring people don't get talked about enough, and that. In all of art, the thing that might get discussed the least is boring, uninteresting people.
Well, just take a look at some mumblecore. That's when you get really to the boring, uninteresting, especially men. Oh my gosh.
Men are boring as fuck. You ever see a dude?
But yeah, on a literal sense, it's about like the hair transplants in Turkey, and
it's
men waiting for their hair transplant.
It's just medical tourism by bald dudes who want to get hair transplants, and like I think they're brothers. Are they brothers like actually, or brothers like emotionally? They call them.
I didn't even catch that at all. They said
brother. I think they're like brothers by blood, but they don't really.
Oh, I didn't even get that, huh? I thought they were just random people.
No, yeah, I think they're brothers. But it's just, what if 3 fucking annoying ass brothers wanted to get hair transplants, and then they'll just like post their dick on live. Like
there was a lot of like dicks in there.
A lot of dicks and balls.
Yeah.
A lot of ball and dick.
But personally, like, I don't know, like there was a lot of attempts at humor that didn't work with me for this one. And I wasn't really intrigued by the animation. I mean, it was stop motion, right?
Yeah.
It wasn't claymation. They were like little dolls and stuff like that. But yeah, I don't know. This one didn't really do anything for me because the humor didn't land with me. And I was just kind of like, yeah, these are boring men. Like, why are we following these people? What's the interesting part of this? So yeah, for me, this was a 5, honestly. But
it reminded me of a better short called The Burden.
Oh, I know. I've never seen this one.
Directed by Nikki Lindroth van Baar. It's.
Are they from the house?
They're from the house.
Okay, because I'm like, you could see a little furry there.
Yeah, this people should watch The Burden. It's on YouTube.
I haven't seen this.
It's just more stories about like typical people waiting, and
okay.
I don't know. I don't really even know if I'm like. I like it as much as I just like the concept of like creating stories about the most boring thing you can do with the most boring people. I know it makes it sound bad when I say boring.
No, I like stories like that too. Like again, like medical tourism, hair transplants. I don't hear about that much in other movies, so I would love to see a story about that, even if it's just with average people and stuff like that. Because I gravitate mostly towards stories of regular people and things like that. Like that's.
If I had a criticism, I wish these people were maybe like, they hint that there's a hint more of some moral depravity going on. I'm not gonna spoil it, but they try to whoa, going dark, whoa, okay. They say that like they maybe have committed some kind of terrible act, but they don't really explore that. I would kind of like to see it. I kind of want to see what level these men, what level of greed can they get to? What level of destruction can they get to? I want to like see, can you like push the men in this to do heinous acts?
Okay, so what would you rate it?
Like a 7.
So I guess we don't really need to. Okay, so did you like this better than the second short? because I like the
Yeah,
second
yeah.
short more. I like the second short more than this. So
All right.
that would be my third. Second would be the candy. First would be, of course, the Wander Yonder. Whatever. the
Wander
heck.
to Yonder.
I keep wanting to say Wander over Yonder, but that's not it. And then we both agree that the kiss one was the worst one. It was yuck. Yeah. But yeah, so what were your top 3 shorts out of all of them?
Out of all of them, let me think. Probably incident number 1.
Agree.
Wander to Wander.
Agree. So
And
I'm with
then-
you on those 2.
And then you're gonna disagree on this one. Last Ranger is 3rd.
Okay, fair. I would put the man who refused to remain silent.
Yeah, the man who refused to be silent.
Okay, yeah, that would be my 3rd. So there you go.
Pretty fucking good lineup this year. Actually, there wasn't really anything besides yuck, and even that one, I can kind of get why it's here. We're going dark again. Fuck, I can kind of get why it's here.
Oh, look, you're warming up the yuck.
No. Like, I hate it. I would swap it out with, like, Antediluvian or some shit from last year. Like, just some short that I watched randomly on YouTube. Like, it's still better than yuck, but I get it, as opposed to the John Lennon one.
Oh, yeah.
Or the boy and the horse and the fox and the wolf.
Oh, yo, you hated that one too.
I fucking despise that one. That was
based
sucked.
as
That
fuck.
one fucking
That
is
one
garbage.
sucked
So
ass.
fucking-
Yes. Okay. Yes.
Also,
Okay.
because every year the worst one wins. $20.
Yuck.
Wins.
Yuck's not gonna win.
Yuck's gonna win. Yuck's
Yuck's
gonna
not gonna
fucking
win.
win. 'cause the
It's
worst
not
one
gonna be
always wins.
Wander to Yonder. It's gonna be, yeah. What would win out of all of these? What would?
It's gonna be fucking yuck.
Yuck. Maybe no, not the hair. I don't know. The animation one is kind of hard.
Weird.
Yeah.
They're all weird this year.
Yeah.
It's not really a normie one.
Who knows?
Like last year, the two normie, like 2 years, last 2 years in a row, the normie one has won. There's not really.
What was the one that won last year?
Fucking the John Lennon one.
Oh shit, that did win. Fuck. God damn
worst
it.
one
And then the one
always
before that was
wins.
Boy the horse, the
Boy
mole, the
Mole,
porcupine, the skunk. I don't know what's in there. You know, maybe the candy will win. I don't know.
Yeah, probably.
Maybe.
Probably.
What's going to win the live action? Did we even mention?
Maybe probably Alien.
Oh yeah, you're
Yeah,
right. That's
probably
gonna win. Oh no. But yeah.
What, you want to put a bet on documentary then?
It's
Probably Orchestra because Netflix will.
Oh
put
no, I
money.
was like, I thought Death by Numbers was a shoe in.
Maybe. Yeah.
Yeah.
I only say the Orchestra one because Netflix wants to win, and now Amelia Perez ain't gonna win. They got to shell out more money.
What one last year? The one of the documentary was The Last Repair Shop, which I didn't like. So I don't know. But yeah, it was so much fun doing this. Honestly, Amy might edit this, so if that's true, we'll put edited by
I'll
Amy.
put a little alien in the corner.
Okay. But yeah, thank you all for watching. And again, if you've seen any of these, which I hope you all
Make
have.
sure to hit that subscribe button. Smash that fucking bell.
Thank you. Now I don't even have to say
Yeah, I
that. But yeah, let me know which ones were your favorites.
When
and
is the
least
Yuck
favorites.
Lego set coming out? I'm fucking serious.
This is the Lego
When the
channel.
Yuck
damn it.
Lego
This is the Lego
set-
channel. Bye.